this is the plan I put together. However, we are flexible and change things. So just to start, first thing in the agenda is an introduction and welcome. So let me just quickly do an introduction. The idea is to have a group of leaders coming together and discussing the challenges and opportunities that we have and how we can navigate through it. And I have divided the two sessions. First one mostly on technological aspect, and the second one on people. So that's how I put it. And so we'll talk about the one that is so close to me and technology oriented is Taurit. So I asked him to do a keynote or a short presentation on technology. It doesn't mean he's the expert in the technology, right? So yeah. And the second one is people. So the one closer to me on people is Francis. Francis always talks about people, right? So I asked him to talk about it a little in the second session. So that's the two major sessions we'll have for today within and a tea break in between. So I hope I don't have to explain the need for a session like this in this region. And I have put a few items down and objectives and target participants, and you all are here. Please accept my apology if some of you didn't receive an invitation and you are here because you saw the session. That is perfectly fine. If you didn't receive an invitation, it means I didn't have your contact detail from the sources from wherever I collected them. So I basically collected your information from APAN SEC, and I also got some from the Asia Connect governors contacts, governors and steering committee contacts. That's how I got the contact. If I miss some of them and you are here, perfectly fine for now. Right. Yeah, so that's basically the plan. And we'll start the discussion. Okay, that's the introduction. And the next one, I'm also supposed to do a welcome. I think I already did, but just in case. Yeah, this is like we are all serious people, and therefore this sounds very serious. Wow. And how do I make it more? Let's see. Oh, make it less serious, right? Relax. I don't have a joke right now. Yeah. Yoga session. Yeah, you all missed in the morning. Some of us were there and had some fun, right? We had some fun in the morning with yoga. Right. So yeah, let's take it relaxed. Breathe in, breathe out. Things we learn in the morning. Right. Thank you very much. So the idea for so welcome you all officially again. And the next item we have is plan for this forum or some way forward and what we want. So I call it the terms of reference, the convener, and the secretariat for the forum. So this time I took the liberty without asking anybody to do it myself. I'm not sure whether it's the right thing to do, but somebody has to do it. So I just thought, okay, I took the liberty because I'm also the local host. So that's giving me some leverage. Right, so I can like what I'm doing right now, I can put you in a room and close it, right? So because I'm the local host, right? So that's why I took the liberty to convene this meeting, and I took my staff to help with the secretariat work. So that's what happened this time. But going forward, I'm happy to hear suggestions. So we'll start from there. That's the first item on the plate, and therefore like this is going to be more of a discussion. We'll be throwing out ideas and getting feedback and taking them down. Somebody is noting everything down there at the back. So one suggestion is for me to continue. For how long? So things like that, maybe it should be decided. That is my question, right? Yeah. That that is good for a community, yes, but it sometimes is going to be forever, right? Until I retire from APAN. Any other suggestions? I was thinking more like 3 years. So we'll have some sort of rotation. Some idea like that, please.
Yeah. So, yes. Yeah. I think you could talk to APAN general manager and APAN SEC. This is actually a very important part of the APAN meetings and all this community. Probably they can give you some suggestions as well.
In fact, they are here. Yeah. So is it okay? No, the question. Okay, so the question is about convening this forum in the future. This time I did. So the idea what I'm proposing is to continue it in every APAN meeting. Whether who is going to convene it and who is going to do the secretariat work, things like arranging a place, having inviting, maybe also arranging a dinner. Right. So the things that we are doing this time, something similar in the future. Wow. I'm not. Yeah, by the way, we also have a new president to APAN board. We'll congratulate him for. Yeah, is that okay? Well, that's the question.
I think in terms of location and for it to be being part of the program, then it's back to the program committee. In terms of location, then that is on the local organizing committee, right? But what you're asking is for APAN to actually convene this particular session, is it? In the next and the following ones, or?
Forever.
Okay, let's look at the terms of references then.
Right, so we are holding that. So it's part of the terms of references anyway. So one of the item is who is going to convene this meeting, who is going to keep, like, let's say there are things like a secretary, but things like there are leaders coming in, going out. How do we keep track of them? Add them to a mailing list. We already have a mailing list, thanks to you. How do we update the mailing list? So those activities, plus following up. So this time I have put somebody write all this down and share it with everyone. What happened here, the proceeding, and planning. Let's say the next meeting we had to plan in advance, collect people together, have some keynotes, identify topics, and all that. Yeah, and coming up with an agenda, everything. Yeah. So what was suggested by someone in the audience is to have, yeah, please give a mic.
Yeah, I think the intention of the future APAN is the increase the communication between the APAN participant. Now, of course, here's I think NREN's very important stakeholders in APAN. So I think it's part of that, encourage communication process. I think there's some small details, but I think the direction you aim at is, I think it's okay. And I think you also, board of directors. So if you agree.
Yeah, okay. So my concern was if I'm going to continue doing it, up to when? So maybe until I be board of director. Okay, then let's move on, right? So we had some discussion, and maybe I'll also talk to the SEC and the manager and see how we can take it forward. And obviously, every meeting is going to be hosted by someone, so we'll have to work with them as well to some extent. Yeah, so we'll work on that direction. And the next thing is more of a terms of reference for this forum. I, in fact, put something together here. If we have, we'll go one by one. And so the first one is the scope. It is, I hope also to some extent it's clear. Let's look at the objectives and membership particularly. Right now, like I said, I invited everyone I thought relevant. By the way, this document is also emailed to those who receive the email. If you are not in the email list, we'll add you now because you already checked it, all of you. So these items, we'll start by one. Let's say objectives. Shall I read one by one and we discuss? The first one is to provide a platform where we can engage in strategic discussion. Next, second one is to share knowledge, obvious. Collaboration, we are going to discuss in the second session today as well. So, and also become a group who can advocate interest for the REN community and obviously identify needs, challenges, and opportunities. For particularly in the region, they are like because of the digital divide we are having, can we help each other? In fact, when I was listening to some of the presentation that's happening over the years, we see like there are a lot of opportunities that can be shared even within the region and across region, and therefore whether we can do that together. Those are the objectives I have put together. Am I missing anything? That's my question. Am I missing anything important, I think? Looks good. Thank you very much, Amber. Right, so that's objectives and membership. Who are members? I have said it as a closed session and a closed group. And today we said, okay, anybody who's walking in, let's come in and then we'll decide how do you make the membership. So we will have to decide, we all together have to decide on membership. So I have put these two items. So who are members and then who are extra, like invited, who can be invited. So the second one is very open. First one is again, for now I have only said RENs. Is that okay? Or do we want to have other non-for-profit entities who are related to RENs? Or even for-profit agencies who are related to RENs, then any, yeah, second one, we can extend it to anyone, but let's look at the first one. The second one is like a sort of, when it comes to the second one, I think we'll all decide and discuss and decide who it is individually, right? So first item is default. So what I want to know is first item. Francis, you want to say something?
I think that's fine, because I think even future topics will be on what the Cs are facing in their different NRENs and on that sharing. So I'm fine on the first line. On the second line, I think people like APAN and all those which are involved with us should be here as well to share with us as well. So I think when you say invitation extended, key stakeholders and all, that should be okay as well. Yeah.
Shall we already decide APAN is there? We'll invite APAN, right? So are you all okay? I mean, I know like we can't say no when who is here. So APAN, who else? ISOC? Yeah, we'll invite.
Plays a role now. We are actually to play a major role, you know.
So can you suggest others like similar entities? If you think others, well, we can decide already.
National Science Foundation.
And National Science Foundation, right? The NSTAR-CC I included in the NREN list, yeah.
They were included.
Yeah, they are not here obviously, but they all went back last night or today morning. This morning, yeah. But I invited them. And APAN manager and SEC also are there. Yeah, so
I'm a little bit hesitant about operators group because some of the things that we're discussing may involve information that I think operators may take advantage of. Correct, Renee? But currently, Renee is wearing a different hat.
all right.
Renee is a family member, so we should include family members.
All right. Friends and family, I'll add that. So
The
even
intent is not to make it too
Yeah,
big, because
yeah.
otherwise we're gonna have an issue in controlling and
Yeah.
sinking down what we want to do.
Right.
So I think this is quite quite good.
Okay, that yeah. Then it becomes it becomes too large. Yeah. Thank you very much for all the feedback. John.
Yeah, it goes back to what we really want this forum to discuss, right? If we're talking about all the strategic directions, sharing of really intimate issues that each of RENs have, then that's where we need to then see who would be inside and who is outside, right? Because in any case, sharing of information is always beneficial, but not when there are privileged information. Right?
Thank you, John. Right. So let's sort it. Next item. Yeah, please. Yeah, thank you. Just to be clear, so what I'm doing now is I'm showing this and getting some feedback. We'll put together an updated version with the feedback. So that's a very useful one. Yeah. Right. So yeah, we were talking about roles and responsibilities. So there's, for now, these are it actually connects to the objectives. That is what is listed here. Starting from members will actively participate in discussions and contribute insights. Members will, in fact, like that's what's going to happen right after this. My first session, some insights, and the second session, same. Members will engage in networking and also to explore opportunities for collaboration. Members will advocate for the collective interest of RENs. Members will contribute to developing strategies and recommendation for our community. So that's the responsibilities, roles and responsibilities. Any other items you want to add? No, we haven't invited anybody online. So they are, I think, our people trying to do something. Okay, silent. I'll take it as yes. And the next item is about meetings. I already mentioned we'll have one meeting in every APAN meeting. And if required, later we can decide whether we want to have anything more. I hope there's nothing too much to discuss there. And so reporting. After every meeting, we'll do a summary and it will be discussed or basically reported. So like I said, I'm doing it this time. And we can also decide how these documents are shared, with whom they are shared. Obviously, it's going to be shared with the members. And then whether it's going to be shared outside, what sort of information in this document can be shared outside, those we can discuss as we go. Right. So that's what we're reporting. We'll do reporting, proper reporting of what's happening here. So that's basically it. And then just a summary, as is a document, the TOR. So what I'll do, okay, maybe I'll ask, do you have any more items to add to the TOR? Anything I'm missing? Okay, so start nodding. So I take it as this is okay for now. So I'll update a version and I'll share it. And maybe in the next meeting, we'll confirm that this is the TOR, right? So that's the plan. And let me move on. Yeah, please.
Then in their non-commercial entities, no commercial entities should be part of this. Be explicit.
Yeah. Entrance are commercial entities. Yeah. So what I thought was the second item, we'll explicitly say the members will decide. If somebody is asking, the members will decide, maybe using a vote in the worst situation, right? So we'll put something like that. Will that work?
It was just been extremely helpful from the CEO forum from the beginning, that we was very clear and very open about the membership procedure. And I'm happy to help out if you want my help on that. But I think that has been really the essence of how you could also justify a closed forum. That you're very clear and adamant on this is the membership criteria.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
The RENs naturally come in. The leaders of RENs will naturally come in, whether they are profit or non-profit. But anybody else we can keep as not-for-profit, as Francis said, right? Non-commercial entities. I mean, yeah, then the second one has to go. So I think we can always nominate, right? Maybe at each of the NREN leadership forum, if you think that somebody should be present, then we nominate. And if everybody agrees, then at the next one, that person gets added. So I think this list of who is in and who is out becomes very critical. Because I do think that sometimes it may be in the category, but still out. I mean, there may be sensitive. I mean, I'm not sure, but maybe even a not-for-profit could still have, I don't know, maybe something that everybody is a bit sensitive to. So I thought either that NREN leaders, the rest, we can go on a consensus basis. Maybe that's easier.
Thank you.
one quick thing that strikes me is definition. It was quite easy for the forum because we said national. When you move the national, there can suddenly be a lot of research networks out there, and you need to decide where is the limitations for how many you admit if you want to keep it close and agile.
Of course, the CEO former name, but there's also the CEO meeting that Geant organizes during the TNCs there. I think it would be good to have a look at their terms of reference and sort of copy that if you can, if you want. I would keep it. This is about trust within the NREN ecosystem, right? So stick to the NRENs, stick to the C-level managers to have the right discussions there, and don't make it too big, and don't fall into those discussions. I
Thank
agree
you.
with Renee to
Thank you.
make it strict.
Thank you. If we consider to take this a bit formal in the future, that will need more, personnel efforts in doing this. So if we keep it as open as possible at the beginning, just invite more friends here to discuss, to share their challenges, and to find any possible collaborations, possible, the opportunities to work together towards specific topic, we can move forward to set up some kind of task force, which might be more feasible to do it. So if we want to see a formal thing, then I think Renee just now mentioned the clear definition of the membership, everything, and secretariat and documentation. All those things will come out.
You have said a lot of ifs. So what are you proposing with your experience? You said if we are doing, are you proposing we do it?
Yes, probably at the beginning, I'm more happy to see this is more open to just invite people here, share their views. And then later on, we will see if it is necessary to have some more, close one. I'm not sure.
I think what we're trying to do is one strategy sharing of that, and not the formalities and the minutes. I think what we are talking about is how to control this group remains as it is, and we can discuss things quite openly. That's what it's all about, so that we can discuss it openly. Because we're going to share strategies. What's my strategy for the next 5 years? What's my strategy for the next 10 years? And then maybe a few of our strategies, hey, we are quite similar. Maybe we can combine together and do something together. I think that's where we are coming from. We shouldn't make this a formal thing. Yeah. Renee?
I would say one thing that if someone drives the meetings and takes a minute, because my experience is as soon as you get out from here, you have forgotten everything that you promised to do. So if nobody's chasing you, that's why the forum was so good to have Jan as a example, because he was really being and is being tenacious on letting people in. You need to be careful if you want to close it later, because throwing people out is really hard.
Write a big minutes. I won't call it minutes. Just a summary of the discussion and the thoughts, so that people take that sheet of paper. I won't call it minutes of meeting at all.
Yeah.
I think
proceeding. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's useful because some of the thoughts that were discussed and some of the possibilities. Yeah,
We'll do that. Yes.
Amber is here. Amber has been to the TNC. Yes. She wants to say something.
Alexander wants to say something. Give it, Alex.
Is it a suggestion to revisit this topic at the end of this meeting? Because I think it's clear that you two have ideas in your mind of what you want. For all the other people in the room, it's quite new.
Yeah.
So just do the first run, and at the end of the
We'll come
meeting,
back. Yeah, we'll come back.
come back
Yeah,
to
that's
that.
good. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that. Amber, you want to say something? Yeah.
I do now.
Hi.
No, I guess just a couple of points. I support Renee from his experience. I know some of the stories he's referring to, and there is some depth behind those comments. I think for me, the value I've got from the forum at TNC, but also I'm privileged to be on the CEO forum, is a trusted community so I can share my worries, my failures, my successes, and it's not only something to talk about the future and what we could do together, but also it's a support to help you through difficult times. So there's two layers to it for me. And I think that support, particularly as a new CEO coming in, so this is personal, is invaluable. It really does help you grow and develop. And the other thing I'm very interested in this whole Asia region is how we can work together to deliver joint capabilities and joint strategies and joint approaches to the problem. So I think as long as we have a trusted community where we can have those discussions and form any necessary working groups. So I'm very much aligned with Renee in keeping, not bringing too many partners in, because we need to be able to openly talk about our options and not be steered down a direction.
One of the major discussions we had around the forum was avoiding what we, at that time when we created it, called fence sitters. The people who want to be there but not able to or willing to contribute. And we have been trying to very, very hard on that. That doesn't mean that we were always successful. But the whole idea was if people wanted to be there were a contribution cost in terms of providing resources, providing that you actually demonstrated that you wanted this, because if you only got 4 or 5 people talking and you got like 30 fence sitters out there, then it becomes not so productive, just from experience.
Thank you. So let's go to the next item, and we have more time to discuss. So we'll come back again towards the end. In fact. So let me invite for the first session's keynote. It's going to be on the topic of the evolving landscape of RENs. Mohammed Taurit is going to be from the CEO of REN. We'll talk about it based on some studies that he has done for the Asia Connect Compendium and NNA. NNA stands for the NREN Need Assessment. It's very difficult. Why don't you? Why I am here to present the keynote speech, but I don't know why I have been nominated. So we are a good friend of Berkshire, so he nominated me. Yeah, I just selected people who will say yes in the first go, right? I don't know. And I committed a sin by framing the first compendium of Asia Connect in 2018. Also, I repeated the same sin, committing the same sin in 2020, drafting the second compendium. And I bidded for the third one, but that is yet to be decided who will be doing that. Okay, so keeping that aside, let us proceed. So this is the geographical landscape, just a teaser to start my presentation. I won't spend time on it because everybody knows it. This is our landscape, the Asia Pacific NREN landscape, 29 NRENs in 24 countries. And the NREN maturity model, I want to present it here because I think this is the right forum to promote the maturity model. We have proceeded a lot more than what we were assigned.
we mean BDREN and LEARN, jointly contributed to the NREN need assessment model or NREN need assessment. But there is a misconception, because NREN need assessment that was done only for the emerging NRENs, for the non-beneficiary NRENs. But the maturity model, it came as a byproduct of need assessment. So many of the developed countries NREN, they might think that the maturity model is only for the emerging NRENs. So I want to make it clear that maturity model, it is valid for each and every NREN. There might be some flaws. Of course, there are flaws, but if you don't participate, then we cannot assess actually how far it is perfect. So I will invite all of you to assess your maturity, because as I have mentioned, the maturity calculator is there. I will give you the address. You fill it out. It will take 15 to 20 minutes, maximum half an hour, and you can find your maturity. So if it is not befitting for you, then you can comment, okay, these are the shortcomings, because it has been divided into 18 parameters, as has been mentioned here, with hundreds of sub-parameters. So if it doesn't go with you, then you can comment that these are the shortcomings. We can work on it. So it can come as RFC, and we can proceed 47 also with the same resolution. So that's why my presentation will be maturity model vis-a-vis the landscape. So I have tried to put both of them together. So if we go with the first one, the adequacy of human resources. So this is one part of the, only one of the parameters of the 18 parameters. We divided each organization on the basis of their types of operation. It can be self-operated, hybrid operated, or it can be fully outsourced. I mentioned here, or we mentioned here dominantly, because some of the operations might be self, some might be outsourced. So based on that, we calculated how many persons are engaged for one connected institute. And based on some control value, we could come up with this types of figure for each and every NREN, which NREN is adequately staffed based on technical and non-technical. There are two parameters, or which NREN is bit overstaffed. It is all assessed by the control values. So if you can always differ on the control value, and it is changeable, but you have to come forward. Then I tried to map the same model for those who didn't participate in NNA, or who was not supposed to participate in the NNA. I took the data from the compendium 2020, and I could evaluate like this. So eventually, out of 21 NRENs, 5 found to be in need of technical and non-technical staff, and 2 found to be in need of only non-technical staff. So that is only one parameter I have explained. And the employee gender diversity, I have taken it from the compendium data. So it is mostly skewed towards the male employees. We all know that it is almost 30-70% ratio. Then NREN financing, the CapEx financing, you can see that out of 19 total NRENs, 13.45, more than 13 NRENs are government finance. So it is mostly government finance. Only SARNet, ARNet, LEARN, and NREN partially, they are own finance. It is CapEx. And in terms of OPEX, it reduces to 12.25. BDREN joins the party of self-financing the OPEX. NREN is fully self-financed, and SARNet, HARNet, and LARN is still there. PARN is hybrid mode, but it is dominantly self-financed. So this is another parameter in the financial model. Sorry for the complicated diagram, but the model is not that complex. I will show you. So following this financial sustainability model, we could find that out of 14 NRENs, those participated in NNA, 5 found to be highly stable, 5 stable, 2 partially stable, 2 found to be unstable. It is not that we can relish that we are stable, because today's stability doesn't mean that tomorrow's sustainability. So we have to be very, very cautious. So if I apply the same model for some of the NRENs who didn't participate, like SciNet, NICT, COREN, NCAN, MAFIN, and Preginet, all are government finance. So I am showing you how it applies. So as it is government finance, I assume that there is no strong push from the government for getting self-finance. So it is no. There is long-term commitment from the financer, that is from the government. So it is yes. So if it is yes, then it becomes highly stable. I didn't do any manipulation. I might be wrong in my assumption. That is different issue, but I didn't have any intention to make them highly stable or not making them stable. For SARNet and HARNet, they are self-financed. I don't know the answer of the second question, whether their revenue covers CapEx and OPEX both, or neither CapEx nor OPEX. That's why I couldn't decide. For RENs and SINGAREN, they are hybrid finance. So the decision I could not take. So if we make a summary, out of 10 NRENs who didn't participate in the NNA, 5 found to be highly stable, 5 found to be undeterminable. So my point is, you can apply. You can apply, any NREN can come forward and they can assess their quality. That is my point actually from here. The expertise of human resources, if it is country-wise or NREN-wise, this is actually a self-assessment. So there is every possibility that someone could overestimate and someone underestimate it. So trusting their opinion, we can say that LDCs, the number of experts or percentage of experts, is much lower than MICs and developed countries. But MICs and developed countries have been found to be almost similar. So that is a question, that how much self-assessment was made correctly. In terms of mode of traffic, mainly commodity traffic and research traffic, it was found that out of 22 NRENs which participated in the Compendium 2020, commodity traffic was supported by 11 NRENs. So the point to be made is, out of 11 NRENs that don't serve commodity traffic other than Nepal REN, all are fully government finance. And you can see the few of the NRENs, their traffic, research traffic, is much lower than actually something which can contribute to their sustainability. So my point is, NRENs under developed economies might find their sustainability with huge amount of research traffic, hence they will focus more on that. NRENs under developing economies, very difficult to sustain with volume of research they are having. They must focus on some other flagship services to convince their members and to make their revenue stream working, or to make their members satisfied, or to justify their sustainability, why they are there. The NREN coverage, it was another parameter in the maturity rating. Actually, the number of universities, the percentage number of universities that are covered by the entrance. So the background with gray background, I don't know whether it is reflected over there. They are the entrance which didn't participate in the NNS study. What I want to make sure is that they can also be reflected, or they can also be adjusted within this model. So the higher percentage coverage means they have less opportunity for horizontal expansion. The middle one, they have wide opportunity. The lower one, there must be some obstacles which we need to identify, or which the corresponding entrants need to identify. Then interface bandwidth mapping, that is another parameter where Preginet stands atop, being the only entrant having 100G interface to the universities. You can see the maturity score also. That means this model or this parameter is also applicable for the entrants which didn't participate in the NNA. And in terms of research institutes, Singaporean stands atop because they are the only NREN which has 100G interface to the research institutes. The Asia Connect traffic mapping, you see that steady growth of traffic after 2017. Also, traffic dipped down during the COVID, which is quite understandable. And it again started growing since 2021. But the interesting thing is, if we go to economy-wise analysis, then the LDC traffic, it is decreasing. LMIC traffic, it is also decreasing. The upper middle income countries, entrants dominated, this is mostly dominated by China and Korea. They are increasing, and the developed countries, they are increasing. So the picture is not that grim, because some of the LDC entrants, they are moving to some other entrants to support them. Suppose Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is LMIC. Bangladesh, Nepal, and Bhutan, they have changed their gateway to India gateway, NKN gateway. And I talked to Sima. India has two different links. One is through Singapore, and another one is directly towards London. So we don't know the traffic statistics of the NKN platform. If I knew that, my analysis has been based on the traffic data that I collected from 10-star CC. And thanks to Patch Lee and Jongwei Lee for giving me all those data for doing my analysis. So if I could get the NKN traffic, then I could make the correct analysis that whether this LDC traffic is really decreasing or it is not getting reflected in the 10 network. And if we go link-wise, then the access links traffic, it is dropping, but the transit plus access link traffic, it is getting better. Backbone traffic, that is also getting better, and the gateway traffic, that is also getting higher. The transit and access links, for your understanding, are the links which carries traffic for multiple countries. That is the transit and access link. Backbone links, they don't carry traffic for any countries. They are actually the backbone traffic, and gateway traffic is carrying that links carrying the traffic from this subcontinent to some other subcontinent. If you go by the bandwidth, the commodity traffic, 9 out of 11 entrants have disclosed their bandwidth. So it was 11 entrants disclosed their bandwidth, and 9 found to be using higher than 10 Gbps commodity traffic. And the research traffic, 12 NRENs out of 19 found to be using the capacity more than 1 Gbps. The utilization of the links, my point is the other day 10-star CC was mentioning that some of the links are highly utilized. It is true, some of the links are really highly utilized. I have marked only the links which are more than 80% utilized. So I found in my statistics, I took the maximum traffic for the period of 2022 and found that these links are congested. If I move to the service landscape, I took this framework from Giant. They do it by dividing all the services into 7 categories. And then I tried to put it in the compendium. So if we look at it, and if we put a grade of 1 for each services in the 7 categories, PAN is leading atop with 40 services running in different categories. But on an average, we are really lagging in collaboration and multimedia services. Sorry? Oh, sorry. Probably not properly sorted actually. Yeah, sorry, Angie. Never mind. I will fix it. I was partial to forward. He is happy. If we compare the services in the 7 categories with Giant, then we can find that Asia Connect, the global average services are less than global average of Giant, quite understandably, mostly because of economy. But 2 of the services, like in 2 of the categories, we are highly lagging. That is, one is identity and one is multimedia. The flagship services, we had many flagship services that was actually expressed or divulged by the corresponding in each individual NREN, like video conferencing services, that is a specialty, Zoom, on-prem Zoom licensing services, the computing and virtualization services. Some took as access to global research and education network as their flagship services. But my point is same as the other day Rene was mentioning, that if we can monetize those services, then we can call them flagship services. If we can really monetize, then can we learn from some other NRENs? Suppose ThaiREN. I found it interesting. They are running the e-library services, which is a dream for BDREN to introduce. Like e-learning, I know that Indonesia is running some MOOC services, massive open online course services. ThaiREN is also there. Probably Roshan is trying to do that. I tried, but still I didn't see any hope. So the other one is very successfully done by PAN, that is Microsoft Education Alliance Services. I found DDoS protection from NKN. So my point is whether the NRENs, which consider them as a flagship service, they can come forward and they can take some sessions for us and they can tell us how we can market those services or how we can make our business plan from those services. So that will be really helpful. Even there can be services, and this forum is for that. Even there are services hidden behind all these disclosed services. So if we can understand and we can know about that, then it will be really beneficial for us. if we take about the advanced services, maybe some of the services might be missing here, but if we take it, then it is demand versus implementation. So Korean stands at top, and they have 100% services implemented that were demanded by their members. So it is very important. If I implement a service which is not there in demand, then it will not actually strike. Then I found Harnet, Preginet, Singaren, Thyren, and Vinaren, who could implement at least 75% of the services that were demanded by their member institutes. If we go vertically to see which services are popular and but least addressed, then HPC, computing, storage, virtual labs, and access to journals were found to be highly popular. It was demanded by almost all the entrants, but they were least addressed. Then moderately demanded service, security, IoT, and content filtering, but they are least addressed. These three services, they were low at demand, but least addressed. They were research gateway server, big data, and blockchain. Suppose research gateway server demanded by 3 NREN, but none of the NREN implemented it. Big data demanded by 5 NREN members, but none of them is yet to be implemented. So my final words, we should evangelize. I took this word from Rene. NREN maturity model, please come forward, please fill it out, try this model. The link is there. It will not take more than 30 minutes, as I have already mentioned. And I have prepared from BDREN, I have prepared an e-compendium. If you put your data over there, your compendium will be ready. So I followed the example of Jian, and I tried to put it in shape. It is there, the 2020 compendium I have reflected over there. So if you go there and with proper credential, if you get inside, you will get all your data filled out, the previous data. You can just edit and you will get the new compendium, and also with the reflection of all graphical interfaces are there. Then my third point is how we can leverage the flagship services. As I have already mentioned, the e-library service introduced by Thyren. If it is really flagship service, then Thyren can come forward and they can teach other NRENs or in the NREN community how we can make our business plan to take it forward. And how we can utilize the artificial intelligence, the security services, which is mostly neglected in this community, the software-defined network, the IoT, and other state-of-the-art services. I will invite all the developed entrants to come forward and teach us. Actually, we need your help. If we don't move hand in hand, then it will be very difficult. Suppose I want to disclose one thing here. It is already disclosed. Just want to communicate with you that we have established the EduRoam services in our international airport in Bangladesh. So you see that if I was thinking that if all the entrants could do it in their country, then what a service we could promote to our community. So if we don't move hand in hand, doesn't matter what the economy is, then actually it is difficult for the entrants to get into the market and to promote them really, to make them actually that they are providing some flagship services to the community. And this should be the take home, that it's a fertile landscape, but it is diversified. Each country having its own needs. If you can sow correctly, definitely you can reap the benefits. So with that, I am actually wrapping up my presentation. Thank you very much for your patient hearing. I'm not. I have taken out the questions because keynote speech is not followed by questions, but
Not followed by questions, but by discussions.
I am ready to.
So
accept.
let's have some discussion on these topics. That's actually the next. No, don't close it. Okay. In fact, I have a couple of. So the discussion I wanted to have on this topic. No, don't put me on the screen. It's irritating. It's irritating. Seeing myself there. Yeah. So what a couple of things I wanted to discuss, in fact, is related to this topic. One is you have seen like Taurit has put out a list, the list on the very beginning, the complete list of the parameters you're using. Maybe we can spend a little time discussing about that. If you have anything else with Taurit's presentation, you have, please feel free to discuss.
Which
But
one?
he has taken a list of the 18 parameters or
Okay.
what do they think about it? Because we discussed it within the NNA community. So the NNA, when we did like the NREN need assessment, there were some members participated, mostly from those who are beneficiaries of the Asia Connect project. So this is coming from Asia Connect. We participated, and there we had a number of discussions with the partners on whether these parameters are okay, whether we have included everything that they consider as part of the maturity of an NREN. But we haven't included, or we haven't had the matured NREN to tell us whether they are okay, right? So in fact, like the way Francis was involved very much in the process, but we didn't ask you whether this list is okay for you, for Singer N or some others. Like we even Jian was involved, but we didn't ask her whether this is okay for you, right? So this is the time where we are trying to make it like Taurit was saying, whether we can make it a very generic maturity model. It's supposed to be, actually, that's the whole idea.
So everybody will participate. Suppose an NREN from South Africa or an NREN from Africa, they can also participate, and they can have a rating on their maturity, an objective rating on their maturity. Probably they know, okay, they are in the middle, but what is their actual rating in terms of, it can be global ratings also. So can we move forward towards that dream, towards fulfilling that dream?
Yes, Tauriti, thank you. Actually, I was supposed to tell you my feelings yesterday as well. Yeah, somehow I forgot. And actually, I think there is parameters regarding the capacity of the circuits. So yeah, it's required. And at the same time, I think we need to focus on the utilizations part as well. I think, I don't know how can we incorporate to assess the maturity level. So if you have 100 gig links and the utilization is very small amounts, then how can we say it's a mature NREN or not? Yeah, let's think about it. And maybe another one is very encouraging things is collaborations actually. So it's a scientific collaboration. So that kind of collaborations is should be a very important part of the maturity assessment of the maturity level as well. So if it is already incorporated, so it's I think a very it's a very good thing you already did it, but it's not. I think it's my personal feeling. So maybe other will also add input on that. Thank you.
Collaboration part is covered. I cannot remember the utilization issue at the moment, whether it is covered in some other parameters. I have to dig down and then I can come back. But if someone is taking notes, right? You didn't mention utilization yesterday, did you? Oh, okay. Okay, someone is taking notes. So once we get those types of comments, we appreciate, we can actually, it should come as an RFC, okay, what others think about it. Because one person can think in one way, the other person can come back in another way. But if majority think in the same way, then we can take decision, okay, we will modify and we will put it over there. So it is better if there is a committee or task force who will evaluate those RFCs, and then they will take their final decision. So thank you for your comments.
Sorry, can we look at the financial one, because that's the most important. If there's no money, then there is because it's also a diversity of it's the diversity of the money coming in. If it's totally reliant on the government, that doesn't mean it's stable, because every time you change, we got a big shock again.
So this is the model. I don't know.
I remember there was one on just finance funded. You were comparing stability. So you government funding, CAPEX, OPEX, the bar. Not this one. Financial. Eh?
This one?
Oh, no. Maybe. No. Okay. No, they did this human resource. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, this is way back. Sorry. This one?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, CAPEX is one thing. OPEX, whether it's government funding, where's your money source, memberships. So if that is divided up, if you're, I'll call someone's organization stable when their source of money is from diverse, pots. If it comes directly from government, as I said, it may not mean stability at all. Whenever there's a government change or officer change, and they change it very frequently, every 2-3 years they change, then you have to educate the officer again, and you hope that the government give you the money. I'm not sure whether that's
Can
correct.
we ask someone who is government finance? Karma, he is the most stable government. He has got the most stable government.
But again, the political landscape in different countries is different, right? So from Bhutan's Druk Research and Education Network's point of view, since we have started the National Research and Education Network, we haven't had any issues, even though we are government finance. But I cannot comment on other countries because, like I said, the political landscape is different in different countries. Like Francis was mentioning, of course, there is a risk because new government comes in after 5 years. Then we have to pitch to the new government why this is important. But the way we do things back home is that we have a strong collaboration with the education community in Bhutan. So we make sure that we get all the feedbacks from the users and we submit a collective proposal to the government, having the support from the, for example, schools. So Ministry of Education would come in, the Royal University of Bhutan would come in, Education Council of Bhutan would come in, and they are the ones, they are a little bit stable, right? They are not government. So, which means that we have a support. So we do things to ensure that we build up the case and ensure that the government understands our requirement. But of course, there is a risk.
Yes, but if we follow the legacy, I've been there for last 10 years. I didn't see any change in the financing part. Francis is senior to me. Probably he is there for quarter of a century. He can actually tell better, but although they might not be highly stable, but they are reasonably stable. If that part is not covered by the model is complex. You have a look at it. If that part is not covered by the model, then you can suggest what we can do to revise that model, or you can give your opinion. We shall try our best to revise the model and present it in the future APAN meetings or in the future CEO forums. But that's why I need you to participate. If you don't participate, then you won't be able to make any comments. Because one thing might not have been covered in one parameter, but it is covered differently in a different parameter. Suppose the allegiance of your members, that is covered in the collaboration parameter. So we tried our level best to cover all the parameters. But of course, there might be some missing parameters. There might be something wrong with the control values, because everything depends on the control values. If control value is changed, then the model will be changed. Our model is not going to be changed. The outcome is going to be changed.
Yeah, I agree with what Francis has said. Relying on the government support is very much risky in our case also, because governments has other priorities also, like in education sector, they has scholarships, research and fundings and all that. Every time the government change, they have shifted their funds to some other initiatives also. So when the PAN was started, it was 70% relied on the government support. But by the time they have learned that government has not been giving so much funding to the PAN, especially to the operational budget, and the IT or the PAN like services, they required a very heavy operational budgeting. So what PAN has did, it is basically shifted the model towards more hybrid model, and it's more toward the universities. Now 95% of the revenue basically comes from the university. Universities are liable to pay 95% of the amount what fund expenditure is, and only 5% is required from the government. Still, government is very much pain to reduce that budget also. But it is for us, the maturity on relying on the government is very much risky and is not very, I believe, sustainable in our case.
Okay, if better to explain from here. There are two rectangles over here. So if you are government finance, that doesn't mean that you are highly stable. Okay, you have to cross two levels. Government financed, strong push. If there are any strong push from the government to become self-financed, okay. If it is no, you are crossing the first hurdle. Then is there any long-term commitment from the government, from your financier? If you can cross that hurdle, then of course you should be stable. Your government likes you, right?
It is depend on the government situations also. It basically government is stable, then you are stable. Please realize this. Government is not stable economically, then it will not fulfill its own commitments also. That is the very much point is here.
Definitely so. That's why it is our opinion that today's maturity doesn't mean that your maturity is forever. Today's financial sustainability doesn't make sure you can relish. If you relish, you will fall down. Okay, that is my point also.
Okay, so I think by government, by our own, or by donation, is not a problem. Yeah, the problem is if we want to get stable funding, we should have stable value. If we want to get big funding, we should get big value. So for AREN, it's a special exist of internet, but currently we are not widely recognized. So that's the problem. So we can compare to the other organization, for example, for IEEE. Yeah, why our IEEE can get very strong results? Yeah, because they publish paper. Yeah, because they publish technical standard. So if you want to get power, you must be powerful. So that's the basic problem. So we must find a way how to we get powerful. Yeah. If we cannot, we will just stay here. So I think that's the problem. So for this AREN leader forum, for example, maybe we just define some simple but very dedicated target. For example, every meeting, we publish something. For example, the top 10 concerns of AREN leaders. Maybe just after this meeting, we publish top 10 concerns of AREN leaders. And by such thing, maybe we can get more attention. Yeah, and maybe more powerful. Just an example. And also maybe just like Terry, you just gave the pyramid. Yeah. So why not we can publish a ranking list? Yeah, we can rank AREN. So just by the model you just mentioned. Yeah, and such things. Maybe we just find several very simple, but some say, yeah, to get more attention. So that's very important. And even maybe we can publish AREN technical standard. Because if AREN is a very special network, maybe we can have our own standard. Besides IETF, yeah, besides IEEE, yeah, we have our own AREN standard. It's possible. Yeah. So if we have such things, the other part, for example, the vendor, yeah, maybe they will give our more respect. Yeah. So that's maybe different.
We can be competitor to ICANN.
Yes. So I think financial is the best problem. Yes, for us. So this is the
Yes, CERNET will support us.
yeah, the most important problem to discuss the financial model. If we resolve the problem of funding, yeah, we get everything. Yeah, just like in this APAN, in the council meeting, when we see APAN revenue, yeah, only very tiny revenue. Yeah. So by very tiny revenue, we can do seldom to do we want to do. Yeah. So I think this is the most important problem for us currently.
Yeah, that's why we should come up with new services, with flagship services, so that we can increase our value to our members.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and most AREN not rich. We are not rich, man. Most AREN not rich. So we you are rich.
You can fight with richness. Who is more rich? and we can fight with poorness who is more poor.
Okay.
Diversity of funding source, different applications, we charge our members a little fee. It's not so much for anything else, but to sustain ourselves. That's why when I look at what you wrote down there, government funded was stable, everything. That doesn't mean stable. In actual fact, it's very frightening for me. We started by having government funding in the early days, and then the government stopped our funding. I had to go to my members and say, hey, do you still want us or you don't want? And they say they want, and they put the money where their mouth was. And we were able to sustain. And for about 10 years, we didn't get government funding until later they changed their mind. Hey, you guys, okay, you guys doing good job and you all are important, you know? And then they come in. And even when they come in, they don't fund full. They fund the CAPEX, which is very important. Then I can move myself up very fast. But they only fund a little bit of the OPEX. So that's why I want to look at OPEX, because that's where we sustain ourselves. CAPEX, the government can give you 2 million. You buy your equipment and then that's it. The maintenance of that equipment is yours and everything is yours. So I would focus on the OPEX than the CAPEX. Yeah. Sorry, I brought up this issue. I don't intend to, but I think it is important. The finance of NREN, without that proper finance and without the proper model to sustain ourselves, we put ourselves in a bit of precarious position.
Yeah, but for some of the countries, maybe CAPEX is also a big issue. Okay. For
Sure.
Thank you. It's just another angle on it, really. REN has been through the financial roller coaster, as many of you may or may not be aware. But the other parameter that I think would be quite good to look at is actually your member satisfaction, because I know when REN's has had some funding issues, so when government has withdrawn funding or a couple of members have wanted to leave, what has got us back on track is the member satisfaction. And actually the researchers got together and said, New Zealand must have an NREN, you have to fund it. So we could use other voices to help deal with the funding issue. Now, it doesn't deal with political, at a country level issue, but it does deal with an NREN level issue. So I would recommend whether there is a way to track customer satisfaction in this, because that does strengthen any argument for sustainability. And the second thing that I'm very keen to explore, and it may not be today, is on the services point. I think that's a valid point. It's a journey that we as RENs are going on. And I'm interested in how we as a community can build centralized capability. So build it once, roll it out many times. I think Jayont's got some good examples of that with their federated services. And I think there's something we could probably do in this space. That was just my comments. So good to see, and we will be updating ours.
Let me ask.
I know now we are on like a very intense talking time, and shall we just take a little break and let everyone eat and have some tea or coffee and then continue? Sure. John, remember what you wanted to say, okay? You wanted to say it now? Okay, go ahead. Yeah, then good, quickly.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment what Taufik has done, Tauri has done. I think we are all discussing this because all the details are there, right? So I think that's a very good job. And I do see actually, the concerns of cost recovery or even funding underlining a lot of the things that I have mentioned, whether you have enough staff, not enough staff. You see, all these are all because of money. And then the last slide about whether you have the services that you can put forth. And I think that's one area that all of us will probably be looking at, right? What are the other services that we can put and give to our members so as to make it more vibrant and also to cost recover. I think these are all very important. And I thought what Professor Wang was sharing, because all of us have very inherent details within our NRENs that we are concerned about. How do we bring that out? So I thought the top 10 concerns actually brings out that point. Right? What are the concerns in our NRENs and how are we trying to solve it? Like what Francis said, yeah, we did go through a stage whereby we have funding, there was no funding. Now we have quite good support, but then again, the management is changing, so we have to re-educate. But you know, all these are part and parcel of when you get government funding, you really need to get the buy-ins. Yes, thanks.
Thank you. And we'll continue this discussion, and thank you for the insight. And yeah, like you said, we should look at finance more and discuss further and identify how we can strengthen ourselves doing it. So let's take a break. We will be here in the room. The snacks are served and also the tea or coffee. Let's continue. So we can just get up, walk around, socialize.